The world is loud. So loud, most people forget how to listen. They speak, they post, they perform, but they don't hear. And they wonder why their lives feel stuck. They wonder why their relationships feel shallow. They wonder why success remains something they chase, but never hold. But listen to Anne Burrell, a woman who carved her name into the granite walls of an unforgiving industry. A chef, yes, but more than that, a force of clarity, heat, and vision. And she said something most ignore. Part of being successful is about asking questions and listening to the answers. Simple? Maybe, but only if you've never actually done it. Because asking the right questions and listening with presence is not small talk. It is strategy. It is intelligence. It is humility dressed in power. And it is rare. Because we've been taught to chase answers before we're even still enough to understand the question. We've been told success is about speed, when in truth, it's about precision. And precision starts with curiosity. Not shallow curiosity, not information collecting, but the deep kind. The kind that shatters illusions, dismantles ego, and opens the door to something real. You see, the people who rise, truly rise, aren't the ones who know it all. They're the ones who never stop asking. They ask with hunger. They ask with humility. They ask with the kind of boldness that says, there's more in me, and I'm willing to learn how to bring it out. That's not weakness. That's strategy. That's how you grow without guesswork. That's how you move with alignment instead of noise. Because success, real success, doesn't come to the one who shouts the loudest. It comes to the one who listens the deepest. But we live in a world that rewards answers more than awareness. You're told to be certain, to be quick, to speak in absolutes. But listen close. Certainty without curiosity is just arrogance in disguise. The masters know this. Edison knew it. He asked more questions than anyone. 1,000 failures, not because he was wrong, but because he was listening to the experiment, listening to the material, listening to what didn't work, so he could uncover what did. Walt Disney? Constant curiosity. He didn't just ask, how can I entertain? He asked, how can I create wonder? How can I design an experience so immersive that people forget they're in the real world? And Anne Burrell, standing in fire, noise, chaos, kitchens at full tilt, she asked the most powerful question of all. What does this moment require from me? Because that's what questions do. They recenter you. They pull you out of ego. They demand presence. And presence? That's where the answers live. But the world is allergic to presence. It wants you reactive, scrolling, clicking, consuming, talking before you even know what you're saying. But if you want to lead, if you want to build something with weight, something that doesn't collapse under pressure, you need to reverse that. You need to slow down. You need to stop pretending you know. You need to start asking questions that make the room quiet, not because you're confused, but because you're dangerously aware. Questions like, who am I becoming through this? What am I avoiding by staying busy? Is this path mine, or was it inherited? What truth am I afraid to admit? What wisdom is this pain trying to give me? Because the right question doesn't just bring clarity, it brings awakening. It cuts through the fog. It dismantles the performance. It exposes the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. And that's where it starts. Success isn't found in your image. It's found in your alignment. And alignment starts with asking better questions and having the courage to hear the answer, even when it hurts, even when it undoes everything you thought was true. Because that answer, that's your next level. That's your roadmap. That's your liberation. But it's not enough to ask. You must listen. And I mean really listen. Not just with your ears, with your awareness, with your stillness, with your soul. Because life is always speaking to you. The people around you, speaking. Your patterns, speaking. Your body, your habits, your failures, all speaking. The question is, are you listening? Or are you too busy defending your past to step into your future? Success is not about defending who you've been. It's about hearing who you're becoming and choosing to evolve into that. That evolution doesn't come through shouting. It comes through receiving truth, receiving feedback, receiving reality without distortion. And yes, it takes strength to ask the hard questions, to face the answers without flinching, to let go of old versions of yourself, not because they were bad, but because they're no longer big enough. That's what Anne Burrell meant, not just asking surface-level things, not just listening to reply, but asking to grow, listening to understand, transforming through awareness. It's not just a skill, it's a weapon, a quiet, potent weapon in a world addicted to noise. And if you can master it, if you can ask the questions most people are too scared to face, if you can listen without defensiveness, without rushing, without pretending, you will unlock what no shortcut ever will: depth, direction, and dominion over your own evolution. Clarity doesn't scream. It whispers. It waits for you to stop performing. It waits for you to quiet the noise. It waits for you to stop answering questions no one's asking and start asking the ones that actually matter. And once you do, once you learn to listen with presence, clarity steps forward. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase you. It just stands there, waiting for you to get honest enough to see it. Because clarity doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from asking better things. The difference between a life of pressure and a life of power is the quality of the questions you ask yourself. You want to know why you feel stuck? Ask yourself, what am I tolerating that no longer fits who I am? You want to know why your relationships feel shallow? Ask, am I speaking truth or just avoiding conflict? You want to know why you feel empty even when you win? Ask, whose version of success am I living? The truth is, most people aren't unclear. They're just unwilling to hear the answers. Because the answers threaten the identity they've built: the job, the relationship, the way they've been seen. The entire mask might fall apart, and yes, that's scary. But underneath that mask is the real you. And the real you has been waiting for you to stop filling the silence, waiting for you to sit still and listen. That stillness is where belief begins. Because when you ask the right questions and actually listen, something begins to change. You stop believing in the noise. You stop believing in your limitations. You stop believing in the lie that says you're not enough. And in that space, that quiet clarity, a new belief is born. Not loud, not forced, but steady. Belief in your ability to rebuild. Belief in your power to redirect. Belief in your capacity to lead without pretending. And once belief takes root, everything starts to align. Your choices, your language, your presence. You begin to walk differently.
Not because life got easier, but because you finally got honest. That's the core of belief, honesty. Not just about where you're going, but about what's been holding you back. And once you see it, once you name it, it loses its grip. That's when vision begins to form. Vision isn't a Pinterest board. It's not a 5-step goal list. It's a frequency, a vibration, a knowing inside your chest that says, I'm done living by accident. Vision is when you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. It's when you stop asking, what do they want from me? And start asking, what does this moment require from the most honest, most powerful version of me? That version is already inside you. It's the part of you that shows up when no one's watching. The part of you that doesn't chase, doesn't fake, doesn't prove. It just creates. Anne Burrell didn't rise because she tried to impress. She rose because she understood. She understood what a moment required. She understood the flow of energy, the power of humility, the brilliance of curiosity. And through that, she built something real. Because vision without alignment is delusion. You can talk big, post big, even act big. But if your inner world is fragmented, your outer life will reflect that. You want vision? Start with asking, what am I building that I actually believe in? Am I still creating from truth or just from fear? If no one clapped, would I still pursue this? If the answer is yes, you've got vision. If not, you've got noise. From there, purpose takes root. Because purpose isn't found in your achievements. It's found in your alignment with truth. You don't need to chase your purpose. You need to remove what's blocking it. The clutter, the stories, the shoulds, all the things that make you feel like success is out there.
It's not. It's here. In the way you speak to yourself, in the way you honor your inner voice, in the way you wake up, ask, and listen again and again and again. That's purpose. Not always glamorous, not always loud, but always anchored. Because you can fake progress, you can fake passion, but you can't fake alignment. And once you taste real alignment, everything that's fake becomes unbearable. Then comes discipline, not the rigid, exhausting kind, but the sacred kind. The kind that flows from clarity, not shame. The kind that says, I've listened, I've heard what needs to be done, and I will show up for it, even when no one else claps, even when no one else sees. Discipline isn't punishment, it's devotion. It's a daily love letter to your future self. It's the act of making your life consistent with your values, not your moods. And that only works when you've listened deeply enough to know what those values are. Because you can't be disciplined toward a lie. You can't commit to something you don't respect. You can't pour yourself into a path that doesn't speak to you. That's why most people burn out, not because they worked too hard, but because they worked on things they never believed in. You want to build stamina? Start with truth. Then let discipline grow from there. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. And real things, even when they're heavy, give life. Fake things only drain you. Action is not the beginning. Action is the result. The result of deep listening. The result of honest questioning. The result of hearing your truth so clearly you can't not move. You don't start with action. You start with awareness. And when awareness burns bright enough, action becomes inevitable. But here's where most people go wrong. They act before they're aligned. They move just to look busy. They chase just to silence the discomfort of stillness.
But if your actions don't come from clarity, they become noise. They become distraction dressed up as drive. They become performance without power. So pause. Ask, is this action born from alignment or avoidance? Is this urgency or is this ego trying to prove it's worthy? Because success without intention is empty, and effort without direction is exhaustion. The highest performers, the most fulfilled creators, the most impactful leaders, they don't act the fastest, they act the clearest. And clarity comes from listening. Listening to the cues within you. Listening to what life is asking of you now. Not what worked for someone else, not what earned applause last week, but what this exact moment requires from your highest self. That is conscious action. That is power without pressure. That is movement with soul. But as you move, something else begins to emerge. Gratitude. Not the kind you write in a journal just to tick a box. Not the kind you fake because it's trending.
Real gratitude. The kind that grounds you. The kind that humbles you. The kind that says, I don't have to do this, I get to. I don't deserve this. I devoted myself to this. I didn't create this alone, but I showed up when no one else would. Gratitude is not weakness. Gratitude is weight. It's what keeps your feet on the ground when success tries to lift your head into the clouds. It's what keeps your ego from turning discipline into arrogance. And if you don't listen deeply, intentionally, you'll miss the million miracles you're standing in. You'll miss the lesson in the loss. You'll miss the beauty in the silence. You'll miss the whisper of grace between the noise of your ambition. Burrell understood this. She didn't just move fast, she moved present. In a kitchen of fire and pressure, she made space for awareness. And in that awareness, she found joy, creativity, and presence in every plate, every process, every challenge. Because gratitude isn't passive, it's perceptive. It sees what others overlook. It values what others waste. It honors the process, not just the outcome. And when you live from that kind of perception, life changes shape. Because now you've entered the realm of resilience, not the kind that just survives, the kind that creates, the kind that falls and rebuilds better, the kind that listens to failure and understands its message. That's what listening really gives you. Resilience that's not reactive, but rooted in self-trust, rooted in vision, rooted in an awareness that says, this moment is hard, but it's not my enemy, it's my mirror. Because challenges don't come to crush you, they come to clarify you, but only if you're listening. Otherwise, you'll resist the very moment that was designed to make you more. That breakup? A question. That failure? A question. That delay, that closed door, that moment when you were forced to slow down, all questions from life itself. And if you listen, you grow. If you resist, you repeat. So ask the hard questions when it hurts. What is this trying to teach me? What in me needed to be humbled? What have I been too proud to admit? Because resilience isn't pretending you're okay. It's becoming someone who asks through the pain and keeps walking anyway. That's where your strength is. Not in being bulletproof, but in being awake. Awake enough to keep learning. Awake enough to keep asking. Awake enough to adapt, shift, evolve. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. That's adaptability. And adaptability is not compromise. It's intelligence. It's not weakness. It's strategy. It's not indecision. It's response. You don't adapt because you're unsure. You adapt because you're aware. You've listened. You've seen the shift. You've felt the friction. And instead of fighting the current, you read it. You redirect your sails and move with precision. That's what makes leaders timeless. Not that they control the weather, but that they adjust the course without losing direction.
Anne Burrell didn't follow a straight path. She pivoted. She listened to feedback. She adjusted not her vision, but her approach. That's the difference. Your path will not be linear. Your purpose may look different in each season. But if you keep listening, if you stay present, you'll know when to shift, how to shift, and why it matters. And that is how you never lose yourself in change. You don't resist it, you engage it, not from fear, but from wisdom. And that wisdom, it's earned, not in books, not in courses, but in moments of raw, unfiltered listening. The kind where you drop the performance, the kind where you put down your plans, the kind where you sit with your life and say, "Teach me." Because your life will teach you everything if you let it. The mistakes, the miracles, the silence, the struggle, all of it. Ask, listen, respond. And in that loop, you become something few ever do, unshakable. Not because you had all the answers, but because you knew how to ask the right questions and had the courage to hear what they said back. This isn't about noise. It's not about pretending. It's not about looking successful on the outside while quietly crumbling inside. This is about clarity. Clarity that only comes from courage. Courage that only comes from listening. Not listening to please, not listening to prove, but listening to learn. Listening to align. Listening to evolve. Because success isn't found in how many steps you take, it's found in why you're walking at all. The world will tempt you to shout louder, to hustle harder, to chase faster. But the ones who build legacies, not just moments, they move slower. They ask deeper. They listen longer. And in that stillness, they hear what most people never do: truth. The truth of who they are, the truth of where they're going, the truth of what's worth building and what needs to be released. So ask. Ask without fear. Ask without ego. Ask without needing the answer to feel good, just to feel real. And when the answer comes, listen. With humility, with presence, with reverence. Because inside that answer is the next version of you. The one who no longer performs, but lives. The one who no longer reacts, but creates. The one who no longer fears growth, but welcomes it like a calling. That's what Anne Burrell understood. That's what every great leader has lived. That's what your future is waiting for.
So ask the question, listen to the answer, and let it change everything. You don't need to know it all. You just need to be willing to ask. Because that is the beginning of everything real. If this message moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video to support this kind of truth. Share it with someone who's searching for clarity. And subscribe to the channel, not just to follow, but to join a community of people who are ready to live with depth, presence, and purpose. Success starts with a question. Growth begins when you listen. We're just getting started, and you belong here.